Ladies and gentlemen, it's John's birthday today. Here's a photo of what he looked like when he ran up the stairs, rushing to bring in some coffee. And then when he came in here, I was like, John, you get to choose the video that we cover today.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, this is a quote, "I want nothing more than to watch Cosmic Wonders Spider-Man No Way Home leaks and details video." So hit that like button because that's what you want them to do.
That's exactly verbatim what I
hit the like button.
hit the like button and subscribe to the Real Rejects. Also subscribe to the Cosmic Wonder.
Yeah, sure, why not? It's your birthday.
Share it. Spread the love.
This is the time you get to be
Check us out on Patreon, guys.
There you go.
Come on over. Check me out. I watch Psych on Patreon and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which should come back to the MCU multiverse.
Very good.
I'm in season 5 right now. It's good stuff.
We're almost at a minute. Let's not make it too long.
All right, let's get into the video.
Okay, good. That was smooth.
Did I do it? Is it good?
That was smooth.
Good.
Smooth like butter and a criminal undercover.
What's going on, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel, MCU, and of course, Spider-Man No Way Home. And today we have some details about the film and some very, very interesting leaks. These are somewhat unique to what we've heard recently. And if one of these in particular happens to be true, it kind of explains what Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters is actually doing with Venom and Morbius, and why the Daily Bugle is the exact same Daily Bugle from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man universe. I
just want to pause really quick, just tell you I appreciate you, Warren, going out of your way to actually, I don't even remember the acronym. SP.
The Spunk.
Spunk, yeah.
Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters.
Yeah, I know. I love that you're one of the few who really honors that label.
They must love you, Sony.
And there is just a whole dump of leaks on the internet right now from people claiming to have auditioned for the movie, therefore know a little bit about a certain scene. Others claiming that they know somebody close to Marvel Studios or Sony and they heard a little bit about the film. And if one of these ends up being true, we also know a little bit more about the relationship between Sony and Marvel and the control that Marvel has over Spider-Man, which is always a great thing because Marvel knows what they're doing. So there is a ton to dive into today, but before we get started, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest Spider-Man videos. So we'll start off by a pretty decent, credible source. The Twitter account Superhero Theorist seems to know a lot of the plot of Spider-Man No Way Home, at least that's what this person is claiming. This person is of MurphysMultiverse.com, and they have a pretty good reputation with the scoops and the leaks that they do put out there into the public. And based off of some of their recent tweets, we learn a little bit about the film. One of them is another confirmation of the main villain of the film. And the account that originally tweets this, the Marvel Sheriff, makes a pretty good point. He says, "Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn is in this movie. I'm having a hard time believing Daniel RPK, Charles Murphy, the Illuminati, Collider, and KC Walsh all collectively got false information about him being in the movie. There's no denying
this is a tweet reveal.
As good as confirmed in my book." And then Charles Murphy of Murphy's Multiverse quote tweeted it saying he is. Now I start by this and mention it because this is actually a very valid point. All of these scoopers mentioned have been right about many different scoops in the past. Even if they're not 100% correct on everything they've put out, nobody really is, but these people do have decent track records. And
track records is what's important.
Huge trade company. They always interview people like Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, all of the actors for whatever movie or show was coming up, so they have a pretty good relationship with Marvel Studios, Disney, etc., etc. Them combined with these other scoopers who have good track records, I would also say that it's pretty much confirmed that Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn is indeed going to be the main villain of this film.
He's 100% in this movie.
He has to be. I mean, look at that array. I mean, I don't know. I mean, not to say that Collider is the most reputable, but out of that list, it's like Scooper. Oh, dang, like the actual publication. Okay.
First heard about it from a news outlet.
Yeah.
From one of the entertainment outlets.
Yeah. Like, of all the things, it seems like this is happening.
What I don't believe is when someone says I auditioned for it, so I know certain things.
They give out scenes that aren't in the movie.
They
all
hire
the time.
lead actors without telling them stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the way it goes, man. You heard Andrew Garfield's experience with even Amazing Spider-Man? He didn't audition with any real lines from the script. It was written just for the auditions.
It's movie magic right there, guys.
But then we get a comment about the multiverse. One person tweeted, "The fact that we are going to see these two finally interact gets me so hyped," talking about Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin / Norman Osborn and Doc Ock. In in which superhero theorists replied, the film really is a love letter to Spider-Man fans, specifically to Raimi and the Amazing Spider-Man fans. Somebody else went on to ask, would you say it's more of a love letter to those Spider-Man or all of them, including Tom's Spider-Man? In which they replied, I mean, everyone really, but maybe Raimi and the Amazing Spider-Man fans will have the most fun with it. Now, to me, this is really great news because it tells me two things.
Weird.
One is that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from the Sam Raimi universe and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man from the Amazing Spider-Man universe aren't just going to be quick little 5-minute, 6-minute, 7, whatever minute cameos. They're not just going to pop up on the screen for a second in one of Doctor Strange's portals and then go away, although I'm sure fans would still be pretty excited about that, even just to see them in the movie. But it seems like these characters and the characters from their universes are actually going to be pretty involved. Another thing that this tells me is that the leaks that we've been hearing about the Sinister Six forming of villains from other universes is most likely true as well.
True.
And it really sounds like it's going to be just an awesome combination of all 3 different Spider-Man universes.
Okay, we put out a video earlier this week about our honest concerns with Spider-Man No Way Home. This is at the point where, nothing is 100% confirmed, so there's like ways to kind of scale the measurements here. For me, I'm going off of like what I believe. and what I believe is that, yeah, they're going to be in it, that there will be more of the, like, this multiverse crossing over stuff, Alfred Molina for sure and all that. But this kind of just goes further to enhance the concern of it doesn't feel like it's going to be Tom Holland's movie.
Yeah, and
he will be outshined by everything else around him.
Yeah, it almost seems like, what do we do to make the most, crazy definitive Spider-Man movie we have yet? We go backward. Like,
We go backwards and focus on these other things.
Yeah, he's almost becoming like the audience avatar with less interesting features than everyone around him, which is not what you want for your MCU Peter Parker. Like, if they could find a way to elevate him through the use of the other Spider-Man, that would be cool.
That is a very strong point. That's a very good birthday point.
A John theory!
Now, these are pretty much details out there about the movie, but like I mentioned in the beginning, we do have some leaks, and they are pretty interesting. The first one is about Spider-Man No Way Home, Venom, and Morbius, essentially the SPUMC,
Venom.
and how it connects to the
Definitely.
MCU Spider-Man. This leak states that the Venom and Morbius movies are actually an alternate version of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. This explains why the Daily Bugle logo is exactly the same as in the Raimi movies. In this
That makes
universe,
sense.
Spider-Man
That
3
lines up.
hasn't happened yet. Spider-Man hasn't met Venom or Eddie Brock. Another difference is that in this universe, Norman Osborn never died, and what exactly happened to him after the fight with Spider-Man, I have no idea. This is just what I was told. As for Doc Ock, it's pretty much what Alfred Molina said, that his character's story picked up right after he fell into the water. Now, this is a very, very interesting thought, and I would actually really commend Sony if this is truly what they're doing. This kind of takes a lot of planning in advance. However, they have been working with Marvel Studios for a while now, ever since Civil War, so it really wouldn't surprise me at all if Sony and Marvel and Disney were all working together to create this huge universe, or kind of 2 different universes, because they definitely thrive off of the success of one another. Sony thrives more off of the success of Marvel, obviously, but it's really beneficial to Marvel if Sony films like Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage and Morbius do well and connect. And we have seen the original Daily Bugle logo in Venom Let There Be Carnage, and we've even seen it in some leaked photos for Morbius. So there is clearly a connection here, especially when you consider we have the same J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man Far From Home in the end credits, and he's going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home.
That lines
this could
up.
be yet another alternate version. So to me, this makes a lot of sense. And even though I did personally enjoy Spider-Man 3, I know there are a lot of people out there who didn't and
You
would
and me,
rather
Warren.
have that movie kind of erased. Also, I'd like to point out that if this leak is true, Harry Osborn is still alive and has not died because they said Spider-Man 3 does not.
James Franco!
Dave DeHaan! Let's get them both!
That's what everyone wants.
The Osborne verse. The Harry verse.
Everyone's been demanding James Franco return to the Spider-Man franchise.
We need another egg making scene.
You see that? caught the basketball. That actually lines up pretty well. If it is to be believed, with the multiverse, it's like there's alternate realities upon alternate realities of certain realities. It's just, you can pretty much explain your thing away. Sometimes it could be just the littlest thing is different in this reality or this version of Earth, and they got a bunch of different Earths. And I can see a scenario here where, in conjunction with them doing Spider-Verse, but also beyond that with their live action films, clearly Marvel is really stepping heavily. And if you've seen just even the first episode of Loki, it's very obvious we're really going to be diving deep into like multiverses, alternate realities, alternate versions and stuff like that. Then you got like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So I could see a scenario where you do explain it away that easily, where basically you could have like, oh, here's a reality where Tobey Maguire is the Spider-Man, but the events of Spider-Man 3 didn't happen. That way you can still have Norman Osborn alive. And here's the reality of this: Alfred Molina is from the actual
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, you could do a lot of that. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it seems like a sensible way to both have all that fun, bring in those characters, honor those franchises, kind of alleviate the meme of all the reboots because stuff didn't work, and not necessarily have to mess with the original version of that.
Exactly.
character. You could bring in a very similar Tobey Maguire Spider-Man with very similar circumstances, same for Andrew Garfield. It seems like the most respectful way almost to do all this.
One of the concerns that we were having was about ruining legacy or undoing the characters' journeys from the previous installments, the ones that we liked at least. That was the concern there. Come to think of it, there were all these rumors circulating. It seemed like they were at least courting Emma Stone to be in this film as well. Perhaps when we see what's going on with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, that would make sense. Like, okay, in this version of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy gotta live.
And think too, like the surprise it could be of like, depending on which version of Tobey Maguire gets snatched up, maybe it's a surprise to him that Norman Osborn's still alive.
Yeah.
Maybe they snatch up the one who witnessed him die.
That seems like the most plausible way to go about it, but it's also exciting to think if it's not, and they're just sequels from the other ones. It's like both versions work.
That's the thing.
One I'm more concerned about, the other one's a much safer bet.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the one I'm concerned about, if that is done right, is exciting.
Yeah.
And I would personally love for a James Franco cameo in Spider-Man No Way Home, but I'm not getting my hopes up. This next leak comes from somebody who claims to have auditioned for a role in Spider-Man No Way Home and didn't get it, but one of his friends did, and that role was the role of a juror. This leak says, I tried out for the jury in No Way Home, didn't get the part, but his best friend persisted and was cast as a juror, and saw a certain blind man representing Tom, as well as separate shots mentioning She-Hulk in case DD rights, as in Daredevil, weren't cleared, but it seems Daredevil scenes will be used without a doubt. Didn't see a costume, but he was a dang good lawyer. Now this kind of lines up with what we've heard before.
He
It's kind of the
practiced law
same
in the
situation
Daredevil
as Norman Osborn. Enough trade companies have reported that Matt Murdock is going to be in the movie that I'm really expecting it at this point. It's not confirmed by any means, but it just seems to make sense and would be really, really cool to see. He's a lawyer in New York. He's a superhero on the side, but they don't reveal that he's a superhero, but it would make sense that he would want to defend another superhero. And literally every report that we have states that it's not Daredevil showing up, but Matt Murdock. He's not going to be donning his costume. He's simply going to be a lawyer. Now this next leak is very interesting because it talks about the relationship between Sony and Marvel Studios. And of course we always want to know what's going on with these guys. And what's posted actually seems pretty legitimate. This person claims that they're an affiliation in some way with a toy manufacturer. So working for a big toy company. And this person says, so basically I've been hearing rumors that Marvel has more control over the Spider-Man No Way Home film, and I can in fact confirm that. Usually for the previous films, me and my boss would have around a 3-hour meeting with one of the guys over at Sony, but this time we had the meeting with Sony, the same guy who came for the Far From Home meeting back in early 2019, and a guy from Marvel. This time they ordered like 4 sets for the film and another set for the new Spider-Man ride opening up at Disneyland. They were very secretive about this film, and my colleague, who helped design the Endgame sets, thinks they probably gave us fake things to make sets off of like they did with Endgame. So this is a very specific leak that I don't think a lot of people would sit there and make up or even come up with. And if it's true, that's incredibly good news for us. That means Marvel Studios and Disney has
But if it's fake, that's a damn good thing.
That's a really good. Someone sat around and was like, "What's the best job?"
Now, this last
to
leak
fake
that
a
I'm
leak?
about to mention, I'm gonna go ahead and put a disclaimer out stating that I don't believe it. But it is rather interesting to think about, so I thought, why not just put the thought out there? Now, in case for some random reason this is true, I'm not going to go too much into detail, but it basically states that Loki is going to be playing a pretty decent part in Spider-Man No Way Home. This is because of the events that happen in the Loki series. Obviously, time travel is involved, and some type of alternate timelines in the multiverse is involved in Loki, and who knows how it's going to end. And the events probably are going to lead into Spider-Man No Way Home. However, I just don't think Loki's going to be in the movie.
No,
that is just too much at that point. But then again, there's so much in it, why not just throw one more thing in there? And after all, Doctor Strange did say in Thor Ragnarok that he was monitoring Loki, and they have met, so maybe. There are definitely plenty of ways to make this work, and it could actually make sense, but to me it's just so much in one movie that I'm really not counting on this. But like I said, we had a lot of Spider-Man No Way Home news and leaks today, so be sure to let me know what you think about all of this in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. Don't forget to like the video, and for live updates you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching.
Woof, woof. Never lose that catchphrase.
Ever.
John,
what?
Did you enjoy Warren's video as your birthday present?
I had a blast with this video. You know what? People have all kinds of opinions about Spider-Man leaks, but for this movie, I don't even care if any of them are true. They're just fun. They're fun to entertain. They're fun to pick apart.
40 looks good on you, buddy.
I am glad to be 40, finally. This is 40.
Hey, guys.
Ant-Man.
John's going to choose someone to do a... Who is your favorite person in the whole world that you want to do a Patron of the Day shout out for to make everyone else feel less than? Go!
Oh my goodness. I guess it has to be... Ooh, were you setting me up for one?
Anyone is of your...
Anyone at all?
Yeah.
All right, well then today I want to shout out the man Gene Jeter, because Gene, you are a photographer.
I would have gone with, I'm sure.
I for a second I was like, I bet it's this guy, but then I wanted to pivot because Gene, you seem like the perfect person to play someone working at the Daily Bugle in one of these movies. You're a creative,
good tie-in.
Yeah, man.
That's a good shout out, John.
Because Gene's a photographer.
That's a
and
good
he's also
shout
got
out.
a keen eye. And think about it, if Gene got bit by some kind of radioactive bug, he would be photographing himself all over town, and you know those things would be beautiful. He could not only sell them to the Daily Bugle, he could sell prints of them online, like on those where they take a photo and they make it look like a painting. You could do it, Gene. Yes, and I hope you're having a good my birthday.